Hey everyone, Kathy the Vegan Prepper here, and welcome to a day in my life. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Vegan Prepper. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Vegan Prepper. Okay, so on the docket for today, first off is a workout, and I'm very excited about that because I don't normally have a workout today on a Monday. And so my personal trainer can't make our session later this week, so she rescheduled me and my workout buddy for this morning instead. So I just had a really quick, small breakfast because I don't tend to eat a lot before I go work out because my stomach can get upset. But it was just really good. It kind of ties into something that I'm talking about today. But I normally talk about budget stuff on the channel. This is not a budget thing. I had an entire jar of this cocoa, even though technically it's supposed to be 2 servings, but it's like it's only 180 calories. And so I'm just having it right before a workout. And it's insanely good. This was incredible. And then the thing that it ties into is I'm going raw vegan for at least 2 weeks. Don't worry, this is not going to become like a raw foodist channel. I don't think that there's no merit to cooked food whatsoever. But it's just something personal that has been on my mind and on my heart for several months. Going into the summer months, getting access to large amounts of relatively inexpensive produce. I don't know, I'm really excited about it. So I'll talk more about it later because I really have to get ready to go. And yeah, so I'll see you guys in a bit. It's a super fast, lazy breakfast for my daughter because I really do. I have to jet out the door like 3 minutes ago. So basically she's getting some of this puffed Canuel cereal, some pistachios, and her little treat is for finishing her breakfast is just a little lollipop. We have these from Easter, like getting Easter stuff. So I will discuss more about this plate later, I guess at lunch, but this has been a huge help to us with getting her to eat. And so, yeah. Okay, hi. Here we are. We're getting started. This is my trainer.
Hello.
And my workout buddy.
Hi.
Oh my gosh, that was good and very difficult. I'm very tired all over my body, so that's a very good thing. But yeah, today, so I'm gonna go ahead and head home and make my recovery smoothie and yeah, get on with the day. Our mango tree is making tiny mangoes. It's so exciting. The tree is pretty little. I'm not sure I should be allowing it to produce these mangoes. I need to do some research, but this is the 3rd year after we planted it, and we've got a flower that's producing some mangoes. And so, yeah, I've got to find out if it's okay, but I'm so excited. You guys have no idea how excited I am. So these are ones that I guess are not making it, so they're just popping right off. But I can't wait to pick a mango off my own tree and eat it, if it's okay for it to do that. All right, so smoothie is made. It's the same smoothie essentially that I always make. It's bananas, blueberries, tons of greens. I mean, tons of greens. Protein powder, cacao powder, and spirulina. I've started adding cacao because I love the way it tastes. And then Sage always gets about 1/4 of the whole smoothie. So she gets a ton of really good nutrients in these. All right, I just made myself a fresh batch of raw walnut taco meat. And I will be linking the recipe I used down below. I basically follow the recipe, except I don't add any fresh peppers. I just keep it, basically everything is exactly the same except for the fact that I don't add any fresh peppers. But this is the raw walnut taco meat from Minimalist Baker, and that's what I do. Here are my zucchini I'm turning into zucchini chips. They're kind of funny. They'll turn out like this big around, but they're still really good and fantastic for that salty craving, crunchy craving. I get it all of the time whenever I try to eat raw. A lot of times actually that's kind of what does me in. So I'm starting off this time making sure I have access to something salty and crunchy so that I can try to mitigate the effects of those cravings. Also with the raw walnut taco meat, I used up the last of my personal dehydrated tomatoes. I had used the ones from my garden. So these are ones I just picked up at the store. last night, I'm going to go ahead and chop these up and get these dehydrated so that I have them on hand for making more batches of this or for whatever other recipes I might need sun-dried tomatoes for. So I'm going to go ahead and just sort of get all that chopped up and into the dehydrator, and then I'm going to make my lunch. I'm really hungry. The first 3 zucchini are all done, so we are at about 4 minutes of work so far. And I'm saying that kind of more for me than for you guys. I like to time it because it helps me to know, it helps me mentally to know that it's not really very much work. This last one was a bit bigger than the others, but yeah, these are going in the dehydrator now too. For the tomatoes, what I typically do is I cut them, like I'll cut off that little blossom end, or not the blossom end, the stem end, and I will cut them in half and then just sort of thinly slice lengthwise. And for me personally, I feel like they come off of the trays a little bit more easily when I cut them like this versus if I did slices down, like making circle slices. I don't know that that's true or not, but for me, it seems to be true. So that's why I dehydrate them kind of in this shape. 13 minutes total, even with stopping to film. So it really doesn't take that long. I expect the zucchini to be ready by tonight, if not tonight, then by tomorrow morning for sure. I expect the tomatoes to take at least a full day, if not maybe a little more, especially drying at the lower temperatures required for the food to be considered truly raw. And if you are, if you are going to dehydrate your food to maintain the enzymes, then that food, I mean, this is, I don't know. I'm telling you what I'm assuming. I assume that food then is not appropriate for long-term storage, because when you dehydrate at the higher temperatures like 125 or 135, that helps to deactivate some of those enzymes. If you don't deactivate the enzymes, they continue to work and spoil your food. So because I am dehydrating these on purpose for them to be raw foods with their enzymes intact, these will absolutely not at all, they will not see long-term storage at all. They're going to be for pretty immediate consumption. So just FYI. Okay, so I am having my nori wraps with some of the raw walnut taco meat. It's a very small amount in the bottom with peppers, greens, and some pineapple mango salsa that I found fresh at Whole Foods. So I use the raw untoasted nori wraps, and you would think that this would be like, I don't know, like not very good, but it just really is. But it does absolutely fall apart as you're eating it. You have to be really careful not to overfill it. I use nori as wraps for things all of the time because I love the, you know, you can get your iodine in and all of that. So anyway, this is going to be my lunch. I'm probably going to eat at least 4 of these. All right, so here's my second plate, and here's Sage's plate. So I mentioned this plate before and I didn't really talk about it yet. But I basically gave her quinoa, or as I usually say, I say ball rice, because I had to rebrand it because she didn't like it as quinoa. But when I started calling it ball rice, she started eating it. And I mixed in actually some of my walnut taco meat. And then here in this one is frozen blueberries, which she really loves, but only as long as they are still frozen. And then some apples. And her quote-unquote treat when she gets to the end of her plate is just going to be chips, but they don't fit, so they're not in here. But yeah, that's basically her lunch. And this little plate has just sort of completely changed mealtime for us. She used to be an extremely difficult eater. My 2 boys were pretty good, and I used to think that other people just needed to parent better when their kids wouldn't eat, because I knew nothing. I was such a snot when it came to that, apparently, because now we are dealing with an extremely difficult, picky eater. And so, like I said, this just helps so much. I've seen a lot of reviews that apparently it also really helps like non-neurotypical children, such as children with autism, or even like teenagers with autism. Apparently this is something that really helps. There's something about breaking it into these little steps and then knowing that there's a treat at the end, which helps you get through it. And then also I think just in general, it's kind of fun. She calls it her game plate. And so for breakfast, the treat was a lollipop, but this time the treat is chips. So the treat can be kind of whatever they want. But anyway, I really do love this plate. I will link it below. There are several styles. And then if you don't want to follow affiliate links, it's just the link would be affiliate link. It would help me out. But if you don't want to follow a link, or you want to find it on your own, it is called the Dinner Winner plate. That's what it's called. So anyway, there you go. Okay. Sage has a little activity tonight, and so there's a show and tell aspect to it. So she is creating a picture to show at the activity. It's beautiful. Sage, are you making just many colors, or are you making a picture?
Making a picture.
It's a picture? What are you painting?
I'm painting something. I'm painting a snail.
A snail? Wow.
Help. Oh.
Okay. I just cracked my phone screen. Oh gosh. Getting that shot of her painting. I ended up dropping my phone and it hit the wheel of the chair just perfectly, and there it went. Just cracked. So thankfully it's mostly on the edge and it's not too huge of a deal. This is the second time now I've broken the phone screen on this phone, and I have had smartphones now for probably 8 or 9 years. This is my third phone in that whole span of time. Gosh, maybe longer than that, like 10 years. I don't know. I had my first one for like 3 or 4 years. My second one I had for like 5 years. This one I've had for maybe a year. And I've already broken the screen twice on this one. It's the Galaxy S10 Plus, and it's one of those that has like a curving screen, like the screen comes up above the frame. And I feel almost like there's this part of me, the conspiracy theorist part of me, that is, as a prepper, you have to have at least part of you that's a little bit of a conspiracy theorist. You just have to. It's like required. And there is this little part of me that feels like they made the screen like that on purpose because they break more easily, because the screen sticks out, like I said, it sticks out farther than the frame. And so it is only too easy for it to break. So I'm very disappointed about that. And I'm trying to decide if I'm even going to fix it. Or if I'll just like get a whole new phone. I won't get a whole new phone. I guess I'll probably end up fixing it, or maybe just not fixing it. Anyway, blah. So, yes, Sage is doing her really cute painting. It's beautiful. I just told her, your painting is beautiful. And she goes, yeah, I know. Because she's confident. She's a kid. So that's great. And I'm just sort of hanging out while she's doing this, continuing to feed her lunch. She's not quite finished with it yet. And yeah, so that's what's going on right now. And in a little while, I will start dinner for my family, and we'll head off to do Sage's little activity. And she'll bring her painting, and I think it will be a lovely evening. So her paints were really dirty. I thought that the paints underneath would come through once she really got going, but that wasn't the case. Everything was just kind of like in grays and browns. I mean, I still think kind of pretty colors, but not at all, really bright and vibrant. So I went and washed all of her paints, just like under a tiny bit of running water with the brush. That's actually one of the really handy things about this particular set. I found it like years ago at my local art store, but these will pop right out, and so I popped them out one by one and just washed them off. So anyway, I don't know if I can find the same thing, and I'm pretty sure I looked it up once and it is vegan. Not all paint sets are. But anyway, yeah, so she's having fun painting with some more vibrant colors. So Sage, is this a picture of anything, like an ocean or a sky, or are you just doing pretty colors?
Pretty colors makes everything colors.
Right, pretty colors. Oh, okay, it's beautiful. All right, I'm getting dinner ready. This is a version of the Chana doll I don't have on the channel yet, and I actually have changed it. I don't add this kind of stuff at the end. Well, I do add the flax, but I have changed it. But there you go, if you want to experiment with it. I have a Doll recipe on, which was like the updated version of this, but basically I'm doing this recipe without the fresh spices. But the main reason I'm showing this is because I wanted to give you guys a tip for cooking Indian food. I really do love Indian food, and I love whole spices. A lot of Indian recipes have whole spices, and I think they lend just an incredible flavor. There's just a difference in the flavor, and I don't know if I could put my finger on it. There's just like a subtlety and a beauty that you get from using whole cloves versus using, you know, a spoonful of ground cloves. It's just not the same. However, the drawback is picking them out of your dish. And so what I like to do is just use one of these little stainless steel tea infusers. So I've got like the bay leaves, you know, those are easy to pick out, so I don't really worry about that. But for things like cardamom pods or cloves, I just use one of these infusers, and pardon me because I'm filming and doing this with one hand. And so basically I just get the whole spices in this, and I bring it and just throw it into the pot with everything else. And so I'll go ahead and add my water. This will go through the cooking in the Instant Pot and everything. And then when it's time for the, you know, when the recipe's all finished and I'm getting ready to serve, I just will fish this out. And then I won't have any cardamom pods or cloves like hiding in the dish. This is primarily for my kids. And well, actually, I guess also Adam, he hates that. He hates accidentally biting into a spice. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of part of the experience. I kind of like it, but I mean, I do still try to pick them out, but you know, like I'm not upset about it. But this was what I came up with all of a sudden one day, and it worked perfectly. And so I just wanted to share that and give you guys a tip for cooking with whole spices, like some of the smaller ones. Obviously, yeah, like cinnamon sticks too. You could pick those out pretty easily. But, and then when I pull these out, and I guess I could just show that part rather than telling, I can show it to you. But when I fish this out, I always, when I'm doing meals like this, I always have like a little plate, not only as a spoon rest in front of the Instant Pot, but as the place where I can put the whole spices. So especially for the Cinnadol version of the recipe, there's a bunch of cinnamon sticks as well. So basically, as I'm serving, I am kind of watching for those large spices and just pulling them out as I see them and putting them on that little plate. And then other people can do the same. If they serve themselves and find a big spice, then they have a spot to put the spice. And so anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get this into the Instant Pot. I'm going to add the water and get that cooking. And then the other Instant Pot, I'm going to fill with quinoa. And then that will be the dinner for Adam, the boys, and Sage tonight. Another quick note for meals like this, you know, or like if I'm doing stew and barley and whatever, I like to kind of earlier in the day, although I did this like a day ago, I like to fill a gallon jug with water from my Berkey so that I'm not having to necessarily like run out of water in the Berkey and then wait for more water. So this is just something I do when I know I'm going to be cooking stuff that's going to require a lot of water. I like to just sort of have a little gallon of water ready to go. Just a little quick tip. Okay, so quinoa, because I have had requests to talk about how I cook the grains I store. In the Instant Pot, it's a 1-to-1 ratio. So 1 cup of quinoa to 1 cup of water. And then I cook it at like regular pressure, I think, for 2 minutes. A lot of things will say 1 minute. Whenever I've done only 1 minute, I feel like they never quite get cooked enough. So I always do 2 minutes. I also do just like a smidge more than a 1-to-1 ratio. I feel like it gets too dry if you do an exact 1-to-1 ratio, but it's not really like a measurable amount. So it's just a little over 1 cup of water per cup of quinoa, and then you end up with beautiful quinoa. 2 minutes. Obviously, it takes longer than 2 minutes, but then I just wanted to show really fast. Look, I went through almost that entire gallon. So ever since I started like saving my water ahead of time, it has made making dinners like this especially so much nicer and easier, not having to stop and wait for the Berkey. So anyway, just as an FYI, but yeah, I got this quinoa in. It'll go for 2 minutes once I get the lid on, And that's how I do it. If you were doing it on the stove instead, so put it to sealing. If you were doing it on the stove instead, where is it? Each one is different. Each one has different controls. If you were doing it on the stove instead, it would be, hold on. Okay, there it goes. Boom, that's it. Now I can walk away and take Sage to her activities. Actually, I also have to pick up Elliot, and we're going to be getting home. We're going to be getting home kind of, so yeah, having Instant Pots. So I have 2 Instant Pots. So having 2 is just fantastic for making my meals for my family on nights like this, and for me usually too. But of course now I'm raw, so I'm not going to be eating any of this food, but this is for them. So I wanted to say, if you're cooking quinoa on the stove, it's a 1-to-2 ratio. So it would be 1 cup of quinoa, 2 cups of water. If you are using quinoa that is not pre-rinsed, some quinoa is sold pre-rinsed, and that's the kind that I have been getting from Costco. But most quinoa is not. It needs to say on the packaging it's pre-rinsed. If it's not pre-rinsed, you need to give it a very good rinse. I actually get it in between I get it in the strainer, I get it in my hands, and I like rub it under the water. And you will actually see bubbles, almost like soap, because that's what it is. There's saponins on the quinoa, and you have to wash those off, or you get that like a really bad soapy taste, and it's not very pleasant. So on the stove, rinse it if you have to. Actually, rinse it for the Instant Pot as well if you have to. And then it's a 2-to-1 ratio, so 1 cup of quinoa to 2 cups of water. Put it all in the pan, all at the same time. Bring it to a boil. Put the heat on, or put the lid on, then turn the heat down to a medium low to a low. I usually do like a number 2 or 3 on my stove. And then let it simmer, just let it sit covered for 15 minutes. Then you can remove it from heat and let it sit another 5 to 10 minutes, and it'll be like just fluffy and perfect. I actually prefer the texture of the quinoa off of the stove. I think it turns out better on the stove, but it still turns out good in the Instant Pot, and you know, good enough that I definitely still will appreciate having it ready for me when I get home, rather than having to stop and make it. But that is, I think, another one of the real big advantages of the Instant Pot for pretty much everything, is it uses less water. So with the Instant Pot, it's a 1-to-1, but on the stove, it's a 1-to-2. So that is definitely something to keep in mind for if, for whatever reason, like you have power, but you don't have water. Cooking in the Instant Pot is great. I think I brought that up at one point, talking about quinoa for long-term storage. But yeah, it's a really great way. You can use less water in the Instant Pot. So I don't know. I think it's good. So like rice is the same thing. It's 1-to-1 in the Instant Pot. On the stove, like for brown rice, it would be 1-to-2 ratio, like 1 cup of brown rice to 2 cups on the stove. White rice is usually 1 cup to 1.5 cups of water on the stove. But in the Instant Pot, brown rice is even 1 cup of brown rice to like 1.25 cups of water. So anyway, I have all this written down. Actually, hold on. Let me let you see my card. Here you go. So this is all Instant Pot times. So these are ratios, and then this is the time. Ooh, I don't know why my thing is suddenly not focusing very well at all. So yeah, here are times. And so you have the time, and then like the ratio of water to the grain. So there you go. Alright, so here's what we got. I did already mix the flax in. Where is the thing? Oh, there it is. So there, I'll pull that out, and then now there will be no cardamom pods and no cloves in the dish. And you just sort of let it drain a bit and then stick it on the plate. Works really well. So here's like that little plate I was talking about. So all the whole spices will go here, and so we've got 1 spoon for the quinoa and like a ladle for this. This will actually thicken up pretty well as it sits. It's not very thick right now, but it will thicken like now that the heat is off and as it sits. So anyway, I will serve this up for my guys, and hopefully they enjoy it. Alright, so dinner is basically a rehash of lunch. It's just greens and then the leftover peppers and the walnut taco meat and more of the pineapple salsa. And that's basically what I'm eating for dinner, and I didn't really have time to like come up with something else, so here it is. Okay, here's the last thing I'm eating today. It's basically my little dessert I made. Just took some medjool dates and I filled, well, didn't really fill. It's actually a very small amount of cashew butter on each one of these with cacao nibs. But I just had to show you guys, this is the first time I've ever had a raw butter like from the store. Or ever really, because I don't really know how to make them myself at home. I was not expecting this mousse like texture. This stuff is so good. It's like a pudding almost by itself. I was really not prepared for how good this is, and now part of me is kind of like, oh no. But at least, you know, at least it's like really good. And yeah, it's just raw organic cashews. That's all it is. I just, you know, good food is good, right? So I will try one of these. So I normally have had these in the past with chocolate chips is typically what I do. I haven't ever done it with cacao nibs, so I'm curious. Yeah. 2 weeks of this, man. I think I'm gonna make it this time. So, anyway. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna go ahead and eat the rest of those. Bye. Alright, so here is a quick update on the dehydrated stuff I figured you guys would like to see. It looks like the tomatoes are done faster than expected, but I just wanted to show how easily these come off the trays dehydrated in this way. So in my experience, like I said, it has been, oh, I just lost one. It has been really difficult to dehydrate these circular slices, but dehydrating them like this just seems to be a lot easier to pull them off. They also seem like they dehydrate a little faster. So anyway, obviously there's still a little bit of stuff left, but that's kind of normal for dehydrating tomatoes. I just sort of wanted to show that, and I need to go find the one that I dropped. All right, and here is the zucchini. I haven't tried to take these off at all. They just come off very easily. So I have my chips now. Listen to that gorgeous sound. Clacking, clacking. So I'll get these all set up. And I need to find more zucchini. And I need to get some more tomatoes, because even with as long as I've been dehydrating, I'm still slightly surprised at how little this made. This was 4 tomatoes. So I need to definitely dehydrate a whole lot more so that I have these on hand to make sure I have plenty of tomatoes for my walnut taco meat. All right, it is time to say goodbye. Finally, for real. So it is the next day. Like I said, I just sort of wanted to give you guys an update on the dehydrated things, because I feel like I would want to see, like if I were watching somebody's day in the life video and they dehydrated something, I'd love to see the end product. So here you go. So those 4 zucchini gave me a little over a cup and a half of little zucchini chips. So I definitely need to get some more zucchini and dehydrate more of those. And then the tomatoes too, like I said, it was just kind of funny that I got only that much from 4 tomatoes. So this is a cur jar, so it doesn't have my measurements, but just looking at it, this is a pint jar. It looks like it's either about a cup or maybe a little less than a cup. And so it's interesting. I only grabbed 4 tomatoes because those were the only ones that looked good. And same thing with the zucchini. I only got 4 zucchini because those were the only ones that looked good. I'm seeming to have, and probably a lot of people are as well, like having issues finding good produce. And so especially at my local Whole Foods, it's really the main one. For whatever reason, I'm not finding good produce there at all. I'm having a lot better luck at Sprouts, but the best luck I seem to be having is at my wholesale produce place. So, you know, I was already on the computer looking at my wholesale produce place, and I do see they have 25-pound boxes of Roma tomatoes right now for $14. Do not tell me But they also have the 18-pound boxes of grapes still, or again, for $8 now instead of $12. When I got them, I got 2 for $12, and now they have them for $8. Organic green seedless grapes, 18 pounds. It's like, how many more grapes do I think I need? So I don't think I'm gonna get more grapes, but they do have organic cauliflower back again. So 12 heads for $14 of organic cauliflower. So I'm probably gonna get some of that. And I'm probably going to get a box of the tomatoes, even though they are not organic. They do have a big box of zucchini for super cheap, but I probably won't get the zucchini just because I know that it's one of the dirty dozen. And so, yeah, anyway, we'll see moving forward. Definitely some wholesale produce is going to be very helpful to me as I'm continuing and hopefully having success with this eating style, which feels successful so far. I felt really good yesterday. I feel really good today. I haven't eaten, well, I had my smoothie for breakfast, but I haven't eaten lunch yet, and I'm not really that hungry. And that is one of the things that I noticed. It's funny, like a lot of people say the opposite, but for me, I find that when I eat, when I've gone raw in the past, I actually am not that hungry. And I feel like it's because my body's getting nourished and it's not crying out for anything. So I don't know, whatever. Like I said, I don't think it's a permanent change. It's almost certainly not a permanent change, but I'm gonna have fun with it for a while. So anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this video, got something out of it. And I was about to say goodbye, but here. It's good. It's definitely not a chip. It's a dehydrated vegetable, but it's crunchy and it's salty and it's gonna answer that craving. I think of all the dehydrated vegetables, well, that's not true. I like cauliflower the best, but I roast my cauliflower first, so that's not appropriate currently for my current situation. But out of all like the raw dehydrated vegetables, I think zucchini slices have to be like the most satisfying as a chip to me. So that's what I stick with if I want to have like a veggie chip. So anyway, yes, it's very good, and that is seriously all. And as always, I hope the rest of your day is good and your life stays wonderful. Thank you so much for watching. See you guys in the next one. Bye.